So now we want to graph a logarithmic function. So you might think, well, this is going to be a little tricky, and we've talked about a little bit about trying to use a calculator for some of these, but a lot of your scientific calculators don't give you the option of putting in the base. So when we're doing them by hand, we're not going to leave them in that form. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the equation they gave us, y equals log base 3 of x, and we're going to change it to exponential form. So it'll be 3 to the exponent of y equals x. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make a table of values, x and y, but we're not going to pick x values because that'd be tricky. We're going to pick y values. So we're going to pick -1, 0, 1, and 2. Okay, now think about 3 to the -1 power. Well, that's going to be 1/3. And then 3 to the 0 power, that's going to be 1. 3 to the first power, that's going to be 3. And then 3 squared is going to be 9. Okay, so that's our little table of values. Now remember, when you go to graph these, though, we're graphing x, comma, y. So my first point, I'm going to go over 1/3 and down 1. So it's going to be like right there. Next one is going to be over 1, 0, so it's going to be right there on the x-axis. And then 3, 1, and 9, 2. So we're going to get a graph that looks like this. And it goes in both directions, and that's what the graph looks like. So these are when a, the base, is greater than 1. And so when we have a base greater than 1, our graph is going to look something like that. Now let's talk about the properties. Let's see. The domain. What can x be? Well, it has to be 0 or larger. Okay? So you see, you can look at that graph and say we can put in, we can't put in 0 because we're never going to get a 0 for x in this case. But we can pick anything bigger than 0. The range. Well, look at the range. What's it covering? It's covering from -infinity up to +infinity. Now, if you're having a little trouble with the domain and range, if you go back to the exponential function and look at that in the last section, the domains and ranges were switched because these are inverse functions. The exponential function and the logarithmic function are inverses. Okay? All right, so x-intercepts, well, this time we have an x-intercept, don't we? It's at 1, 0. Y-intercept, we don't have any. So we just write none. Don't put 0 because that'd be wrong. All right, and then what about the asymptotes? The asymptote is right here this time. So it's right along the y-axis. And remember, that's a vertical line. We need an equation for the asymptote. So the asymptote, in this case, is going to be x equals 0. Okay? So those are the properties of this function.